Hello and welcome, Season 5, Episode 27 of the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And we want to jump right into some news right off the rip. A few things we have coming up for you. Custom cards on Goldin? Question mark. What? What? We've got Panini is doing everything they can to squeeze every penny out of what's manufactured. Although in this particular idea, I don't completely hate it. We'll jump into that. Ships you want to recap from the show, upcoming shows, and then we're excited to premiere on video for the first time ever our little challenge that we do every football season.
Yeah.
Football Flip 2025, running down through our rosters. There are stakes involved. Some would call them high stakes.
Yeah, they could be.
They're not. They're not high stakes, but we're going to run through our picks for flips this year in the football market. What else do we have to talk about? Is that it?
You got low-end liquid, as
Low-end
usual.
liquid? All right. Well, let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
I found it really interesting. I started seeing posts about this. I didn't find this out in the wild, but it was a little bit surprising to me. There was a custom one-of-one sticker auto that looked a whole lot like that Topps Now one-of-one Steph, Durant, LeBron auto.
It looked almost like the person who made the custom card took the images from that card,
Directly.
made little circles around them,
Could be the case.
dropped some sticker autos on there.
Maybe,
Had
hypothetically.
them sorted by JSA.
JSA's like, okay, this looks familiar. It's not our job to...
Yeah, we're just certifying these autos. And then they said, hey, Goldin, you want to sell this? And Goldin said, sure.
Goldin says yes. It hits the auction floor. And then people just start commenting, wait, this isn't the Topps Now. Is
Right.
it? This is... Ken jumps in. He was tagged on Twitter and says, basically, I didn't even know this was being auctioned, is the implication. We're pulling that down. I don't want my name attached to it. Maybe somebody sees value in it, but I'm not going to be the one selling it. I'll let somebody else sell that card.
The real question here is, how did this even slip through the cracks? Like, obviously, Ken Goldin isn't touching every single card that goes onto the platform.
Right.
But what safeguards are in place? What criteria do and I will call them what they are, the salespeople who are gathering these cards in from people on consignment,
Yep.
what are they told to look for? Because the reality is these guys, a decent amount of their compensation is commission-based.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Are you going to finish that thought? Or was it?
I mean, that's pretty much the thought. I mean, it seems like a perfect storm for weird things like this to happen.
Let's talk about custom cards for a minute. But before that, let's talk about where there's any value perceived in this card at all. Because it definitely has value. It's got certed autographs of 3 huge names.
Yeah.
Big names in the hobby. Obviously, Durant's really fallen off in the hobby as far as value. I got cooked on him along with a lot of others.
Still an all-timer.
Yeah, still an all-timer. Still a great, cool auto to have. You really don't see very many of them.
Nope.
But this was a little bit of a play that we saw happening with some licensed product. There was a little bit of a grifty hustle, if you will, where some people would pull sticker autos off of other products, find a way to basically delaminate without losing all the adhesive or having another adhesive, applying that sticker auto to other base or parallel cards, sending that card off to PSA, SGC, or whoever just to authenticate the autograph or a auto grade only in a slab.
Yes.
And the people newer to the hobby were none the wiser because it's in a slab. It's a great company I respect. It's a name that I've been looking for. I really have never seen this with an auto. Yeah, nobody has.
Right.
PSA cracks down on that a few months back. They're not making it available. BGS is the only one that would still allow for that, right?
Yeah, BGS will still cert the auto in that situation. We ran into this a few weeks back. If you remember down at Eastgate the last time, a gentleman and his son came up and they had a Cooper Flag auto that they had bought off of eBay, and it was just a sticker on a base Bowman first Cooper Flag, and we were like, yeah, that's not what you think it is.
We said, I'd love to buy a Cooper Flag auto from you, but I'm not sure that this is one.
Right.
And you could just see that the pit of their stomach just began to sink. There is nothing indicating it being an auto on the back. It's not a card that really exists. eBay sellers started trying to do this. Good news is for the buyer, I think they have tons of leverage. Hopefully they've been able to get that resolved. But I do want to talk for a minute about what we're seeing happen. You know, there's never been a worse time for the IP market when it comes to credibility. Obviously, we had the story last year, gentleman out of Indianapolis, that just explains how many millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in sticker autos have been forged or faked and introduced into the market. And a lot of these authentication companies were signing off, whether they realize it or not, which in most cases they probably didn't.
Well, at the end of the day, remember, these authentication companies are giving you their opinion on whether something is real or not. Some people's opinions are worth more than other people's opinions because they're experts. But at the end of the day, the way this process works is you take something to JSA at a show, right? And you've got a pair of Manny Ramirez batting gloves that are signed that you want to get certed.
Yep.
So you're going to take those to JSA probably this weekend, and they're going to look at that, and then they're going to go into their files, and they have what are called exemplars.
Yep.
Those are examples of the person's signature, usually 10 to 15 examples, because guys' autos change over time. Mickey Mantle's a great example of that. He had like 6 or 7 different styles of auto.
Brady's changed his up over time,
So they're going to look at those exemplars, and they're going to see, okay, first things first, does this look close to this? If it doesn't even look close to any of them, then there's nothing else to look at, and they call it a day. If it looks close to one, the next thing they're going to do is look at it and go, okay, does the pen weight, does the stroke weight match what we know to be real? And that's how they render this down. The reality of it is if it's a good enough fake, it doesn't matter whether it was Mr. Man Cave doing it. It doesn't matter whether it was an auto pen doing it. If it's a good enough fake, it very well may get through, because it's literally just another human rendering their opinion on it.
And I was listening, I wish I could remember to reference a podcast in the last couple of weeks that was talking through this process. And there are situations where an autograph is compared to the exemplar, and there may be 4 experts that all look at it. 3 of them may say yes. 1 may say, no, that's not legit. Guess what? That's getting a cert.
Yeah.
There could be a group of experts, and one of them may even say, I'm not so sure, and here's why. But it's possible for that to get through. Now, we're not saying that this custom card was not legit. As far as I'm aware, JSA is not a company that's been in a lot of a bad light in the last year, anything like that. There are people that said that they have submitted through JSA, and, you know, if you have credibility and you've presented a lot of stuff that seems authentic and you begin to insert some not so legit stuff, you may be able to slip some stuff through the cracks. But I want to talk about this custom card market, because it seems like something that a very small minority are begging for it to have more relevancy in the hobby. And I think it's just because they want to be able to make money and not have to have a license and all that type of stuff. But I really hate custom cards.
I don't hate custom cards. I think they have their place. And there are some really cool ones.
Let me caveat. Custom cards that are completely a rip-off of actual cards that exist. That's what I hate.
That's fair. That's fair. Because, like, I see custom cards sometimes that are actually really cool. And if you just want something that looks nice to display or PC,
sure.
Example, and I don't know whether he still has it or not, but there's a local shop to us, and he had a flawless one-of-one custom card, and it was Dumb and Dumber. It was, and it was the tuxedos.
Okay, all right.
Stuff like that is really cool. There are some people out there who make really good custom stuff. They don't pretend that it's anything other than what it is. If you get a cut signature from somebody, you want it turned into a card to display, there's nothing wrong with that. I do think there is a problem when people are making custom cards in the way that you're talking about. You take a sticker off of something else to put it on something that looks nicer, then you get it slabbed up to try to make money on it. Don't get me wrong. I respect the hustle, but there are guys who blur the line between whether they really call it custom or not, and that's a problem.
Well, and a lot of it comes across as like some guy in like 2019 trying to pump their own altcoin on crypto.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's about time. You know what I've been hearing from everybody is that we need more custom cards that look like license cards. No, we don't. If it's funny, if it's fun, it's unique. If it's a PC thing, fine. But there is no demand for that custom card to be a competitor in the market
No.
with anything that is resembling a
Well,
licensed
it's the
card.
same thing with IP autos, even on real cards.
Yeah.
Like that, if you haven't figured it out yet, listen very closely.
Oh, lean in.
That market is dead. It has been dead since before the Mr. Man Cave thing. If a player,
Timeout.
okay,
On modern and ultra modern, yes.
yes,
On
well, that's
vintage, no.
I was just getting ready to
Beat
give
you
the
to it.
caveat.
I'm the expert.
If the player in question retired 30 years ago,
Or retired from Earth.
before there were potentially pack pulled autos,
Right.
then sure, the IP auto matters. However, if there are pack pulled autos available of like Justin Herbert, there are so many IP Prism base cards with different color ink
Blue ink.
autos.
Yeah.
Like there's not a demand for them. If you buy one thinking you're going to flip it fast, good luck. It's going to sit in your showcase forever. Ask me how I know. Like I tried to play that game and I got into it at the worst time.
Yeah.
I was able to break even, but it was a close call. It's just not a game that is viable right now. So when something like this happens with Goldin,
Yeah.
just makes you question what the
I'm
safeguards
surprised.
are.
So there's a commission structure for these guys, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. They clearly stated custom card in the listing, I believe, too. Like there was nobody's trying to pretend that this was like Goldin's not trying to get away with saying that this is a Topps Now card. Like this,
Correct.
There's no misleading.
Nope.
Not even.
I
don't think
wouldn't
so.
even call it misleading.
But
Visually,
the optics.
the optics don't look good.
Yep.
And as far as the commission structure goes, my understanding here, part of this I know to be fact, and part of it is just my understanding or logical, following up through it. The way Goldin works, you're going to get a contract from them if you consign a card to them. And that contract is going to pay you anywhere from 90% of the hammer price to about 112% of the hammer price. Because remember, they charge a 20%
Yep.
buyer's premium.
Yep.
So the quality of the card and your ability to negotiate that difference in the hammer price and what you get, the sales rep gets the other part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of negotiating there to make that happen. So if you're ever considering sending a card to Goldin, if it's a big card, don't be afraid to negotiate for as much of that hammer price
Sure.
as you can possibly get, and you can get over 100%.
Little fun fact.
A little
Put
fun
that little
fact
nugget
for
away
you.
for when you pull
You're not
a
gonna
monster
get. You're
of a
not
card.
going to get that for your $500 card.
No.
but you might for your $150,000 card.
Yeah. All right, Panini is doing what they've got to do to make as much as possible before the license fades, and they're doing it with Mahomes autos. Now, when I first read the headline on this, I was like, this is gross and disgusting, and I hate it because I thought all they were doing is dropping, another rookie royalty, essentially, like
Right.
a super high product, this and that. Then I noticed they're playing with release, and it's not a bad idea.
No, it's very similar to what Topps did with Hidden Gems.
Yes. So there's a set being produced now that basically is covering moments throughout Mahomes' career, and they're all on-card autos numbered to 20 or less. There's 25 cards in the set based off of what we were able to find. So we're talking at most 500 cards, but more than likely probably 300 to 400 by the time
That'll be my guess.
of 10s, of 5s, one-on-ones. Now, at first I'm like, gross, just introducing a ton of autographs of somebody that's very desirable in the market, and it's just a lottery ticket chase product. However, the way they're doing this is kind of smart. From what I understand, 2 or 3 of these cards are about to be released in their Panini Instant, which is a way uglier version of Topps Now. Like, the designs, in my opinion, have never been impressive, but you have the opportunity to buy the card. Maybe you get a nice one. Maybe you get a numbered one, but you have a chance of hitting auto. The 3 cards being released are going to be images from his early career moments, and I think he's throwing left-handed, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
I'll tell you this: the design is not impressive.
None of
The design is not
impressive.
is not that great. But those 3 are going to be released so that everybody goes and buys up all the Panini Instant. Super smart of them. Like, we've got license. Here's a product that I mean, it really doesn't perform too well.
Let's make it perform.
Yeah, let's make it perform. So that's going to do it. But with the rest of the cards in this set, they're going to be randomly inserted in Panini products
Throughout the year.
I think that's a kind of cool idea.
It is. I also bet the price of those products jumps 10, 12%
Oh,
too.
well, yeah. How do we ask for more? This is a
Yep.
good way to do it.
Yep.
And you're introducing up to 500 Mahomes autographs in the market. A player like Mahomes, how many autographs can be introduced into the market before it is saturating the market too much to like mitigate the demand? Is that possible?
Way more than 500.
What would that number be? I'm honestly curious. I don't have a super strong opinion on this.
5 to 8,000.
Okay, so they're not saturating the market too much, according to what you're saying here.
Right.
They're introducing this
Because
where
he already has autos in those products on their own.
now, if they're smart, which I've not seen that much evidence of over the years, but if they're smart about this, they will be sure to include retail in this.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
they better mark it up. If they're trying to get their money, they should mark it up across the board. Make sure a few of these hit retail. They're already super, super, super short print, right? If there's less than 500 of them out there.
Yeah.
But the opportunity for the average Joe to grab that out of a blaster would be incredible. I think that would be a big miss if it's hobby only.
It's one of the few things that Fanatics really does right.
But they're going to do the math on this. They're going to say, all right, if we could get 20% more out of hobby and just pump this to the breakers to buy cases and cases and cases for this and leave it out of retail where we would raise everything 5 or 7%, like whatever it is, the math may work out where they make more money just focusing on a hobby. I think for the collector, it would be cool if retail was a spot where you had a chance to hit that card.
Sure. I mean, remember, like you said, this is the last hurrah this coming year for Panini with licensed NFL product. I was down at Game Time in Circleville, LCS, and I was talking to my buddy Bill, Big Bill, shout out. He brought up something that he would not be shocked to see Panini do this year. And after he said it, I was like, yeah, I don't think I would be shocked either. They've already flooded the market with downtowns and kabooms, and it's softening a little, but it's still holding.
Sure.
Would not shock me to see a product later this year that's a $3,000 or $4,000 box, but you get 6 or 5 guaranteed. Kabooms or downtowns, like
just, an H2 type of product.
Yeah,
1 pack, 8 cards, yeah.
And just one big last hurrah. And,
a true breaker's delight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
if they're
don't be
already out
surprised.
there, they're not that. I mean, and you would have to do limited cases on it.
Yeah,
You
well,
couldn't-
think about all the stickers they still have.
Yeah.
Again, wouldn't be a shock to see a product get released like a Chronicles, but like loaded with autos. Just loaded with
now,
autos.
that's interesting that you say that. I was listening to Mojo Breaks podcast this week. Check them out.
They also could sell all that stuff to Fanatics.
But they're talking about the NT basketball this year.
Yep.
And how you have such a rough rookie class. However, one thing that they noticed, the vet list for some of these colossal patches, this is the last year for them to get some of this stuff in boxes. So the vet list might be kind of solid.
Did you see Rip Hamilton? That's the breaker. Did you see they pulled?
I thought you were about to tell me there's a Rip Hamilton mask.
No, that I don't know. That would be cool. There's a break room called Rip Hamilton.
Okay.
And I'm going to guess they probably ripped 30 or 40 cases.
Yikes.
32 logo mans.
Okay.
32.
So interesting. Like, you could argue like, oh, this is way oversaturated. This is it, though. This is the last year they're getting away with it.
There were 2
3
in a
years
box.
from now, will it matter that there were a lot of those this year? Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So products like that, as we kind of go into the end of this license, it could be real interesting. So if you are a breaker, if you're somebody that likes to break, our recommendation, I think you'd agree with me. I'm not speaking for you, but I think so at this point is take a look at that vet list. There may be some teams that have 4, 5, 6 Hall of Famers in some of these products.
Oh, for sure.
That they got to get this stuff out there. Like this is the last year for them to. So there might be a little bit of a play there, a little more value for your team break.
Yes.
I'm not saying go jump in an NT break if you've never done it before. It is very expensive, very volatile. However,
even with a bad rookie class, it's very expensive. And
take
very
advantage of what's happening. There are times where companies are in a situation like this, and because of that, that vet list might pop off a little more than it typically has. And basketball is a sport I feel like the vet list transcends a little further.
It does.
Because you just are able to demand a premium on those PC cards compared to baseball and football. For
Yeah.
me, I've found that, especially if it's somebody from 10, 15, 20 more years. Interesting. All right, what do we got next? Ships you want to recap. How was it, Gary? I wasn't there. Family reunion.
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that 2 days straight, I didn't get to go to the restroom at all from, on Friday.
Look at you being a big boy.
2 p.m. until 9 p.m. and Saturday from 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. So that was fun.
How's the traffic?
Traffic was fantastic. It was the second most people they've ever had at one of their shows. Friday, as always, just a little tip. Any shows, and this isn't a complaint in any way, shape, or form, but for you guys attending, any shows that offer VIP early entrance, if you have specific things that are super high priority and they're hot in the current moment, and when I say hot, things that you would see in a repack, make sure that you pay for the VIP and go as early as possible. Friday at this particular show tends to be 80 to 90% of the people walking around are either repackers or people looking to flip. Nothing wrong with that at all. Saturday is the day that collectors show up, and it happened as it always does. It was really busy. Bought some really cool stuff. Didn't bring any of it home with me. It all sold really fast. Some really cool Jordan stuff and Kobe rookie stuff that I sent you pictures of that you just don't see very often. Lasted for 45 minutes in my showcases. But Brad and his crew over there at B Sports put on a fantastic show. If you have the opportunity to go, the next one is in March. It's in the middle of nowhere. Everything in town shuts down at 6
Make a
p.m.
weekend out of it.
But make a weekend out of it. It's a lot of fun. You're going to meet really cool people. Got to spend a few minutes with Kyle, King of Cards. Came to the table. We talked for a little while.
That's so cool.
There was no
purchase
made, but
King of Cards got to meet Gary. That's really cool.
Well, what was really cool about it was
laugh at my jokes, Gary.
Ha ha ha. Yeah, he doesn't care about us, but he did recognize us.
Really?
Which was kind of cool.
Oh, snap.
That was kind of cool. He was
hold
like,
on. Hold on. I appreciate that.
It was cool. He was like, I've seen you guys on TikTok. I was like, we've seen you on TikTok too. So overall, as always, great show. If you're planning to set up there, you kind of have a choice to make. Jason and I were talking about this a little bit pre-podcast, just as far as planning and things like that go. The vast majority of the liquidity that was happening there was ultra-modern football slabs. If you had $20,000 worth of $50 to $200 PSA ultra-modern football slabs, they were all getting bought. Maybe by the same person, and paying strong on them. If you have stuff that's the majority of what Jason and I do, where we're 15% that stuff and 85% just really unique, interesting collector stuff, you're just rolling the dice a little bit that the right people are going to come to your table that want to buy those things. There's not a big flip opportunity for those or a repack opportunity.
Let's unpack this a little bit more, because I think you're kind of, you're talking about specifically this show, but I think there's a few factors involved. So for those of you that are setting up at shows, I know some of you that watch the pod, been listening to us for a while, and you're like, that's it, I'm doing shows. They talked me into it, which is great. I don't think you're ever going to regret it. You're going to love it. You're going to make some great friends along the way too, and some money. But a huge factor that people always need to consider, and it's so easy to forget because you're in the routine of doing this on a regular basis, is the timing and seasons and price points.
Yeah.
And so I think there's reasons for that, right? One of the reasons is an obvious one. It sounds like a lot of repackers were buying the $50 to $200 football.
Yes.
Why is that? There is not a more peak moment in the football trading cycle for $50 to $200 cards than there are August leading into the football season.
But I would also say that probably for the last 18 months or so, football has been the dominant thing in the market.
No doubt about that. But I think especially in August, a show that size, that's going to be something to think about. So, for those of you that are starting to do shows and you're thinking about what kind of inventory you need, Gary and I always are like an open book with like our metrics of what we're working on. And one of the things I think that's helped us a ton is if we're going to try something new, we just tell each other, hey, I'm going to try this. And if I don't mention it in a month or two, ask me how it's working.
Yeah.
Whether it's a way that we price things, it's a strategy we're taking on buying. I've been having a lot of success sourcing, and the moment I moved to cost averaging and trying a few different techniques, which I haven't released yet because I want to make sure they work before I give advice.
Trademark incoming.
But we are always adapting and changing with it. If Gary and I could buy anything and be guaranteed that we'll make plenty of money and be happy, it would be only the really cool stuff that collectors want that we buy at margin and sell to the end user. However, Bill's got to get paid.
Well, yeah, and it's so hard. I struggle because the stuff that moves really fast and quick is so unbelievably boring to me.
It's boring.
I can't. It's so boring to me.
I'm falling asleep right now.
People hand me stacks of it, and I'm just like, yeah. Oh, I haven't seen this before. I don't even care what it's worth. I put it aside.
And they raise their eyebrows like, you want that?
Yeah,
that's always.
I pass on 10 Jaden Daniels PSA 9s and 10s because I don't care. Yep. I'm going to have to force myself to care a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, we emphasize sales velocity, so we're being hypocrites if we don't consider that in the equation. But I guess the point I want to make is if you're listening to this, there's a window where that type of stuff is super hot. And there's no doubt a show that size, Midwest pulling from Chicago, Indy, Detroit, Columbus, and people flying in from across the country at this point. They've promoted that so well. That the Card Fest is promoted so well. They've really captured the brand, how to emphasize it, partnerships, relationships. You see them always cross-promoting. So we really appreciate that. It's a brand that we like to stick beside when we see something done with excellence. But the market could shift, right? There are things that happen in baseball at certain times and windows. And as a dealer, if you're not mindful where most people are going to be, it's easy to have a showcase full of awesome stuff that you bought right. Plenty of meat on the bone, and it to move slowly. And that's tough for you and I at times.
Yeah.
That's an emotional toll because that's a risk we take with the type of stuff we buy.
Well, and what do I say all the time? Very few things make me happier than other people liking the same things I like. Yeah. And when they don't, when stuff like that doesn't sell, it's hard for me not to internalize it. Like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
Why do I like this if nobody else does?
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the steakhouse analogy. We want to sell the steaks, but a lot of people are into the salads too.
Yeah.
Some people want soup. Some people want the homemade guac. You just have to have it out there. It's not for everyone. It's not for my wife. She can't eat
guac. A lot of guac at the steakhouse.
Well, if they're buying it. So my immediate reaction when you were saying, maybe it's worth considering, getting a little bit more of that type of stuff, even though it's not interesting. My immediate reaction was, screw this. No way. What are you doing? You're ruining your metrics. This is not what we buy. This is not what we sell, blah, 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 blah. But it's stupid to ignore what's happening in the market. Right. It's the same way as we're traditional show dealers. If we said all breaking should cease to exist, there shouldn't be any more repacks. Everybody has to like what I like.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Nope.
And people vote with their dollars. If there's one thing that I could say to summarize this back and forth we've seen with all the repack drama on TikTok, breakers drama, all this, eventually, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but there is a graveyard full of breakers nobody even talks about anymore.
Yep.
Repacks that are going out of business because I may buy a repack from you 2 or 3 times, but most people with a functional brain are going to say, hey, I just comped those out and I lost way more than I thought. And over time, people will vote with their dollars. It's the same for what you buy and sell. If we see that the market is moving in a direction really hard, then we have to consider that. So don't be surprised, those of you who love ultra modern, if you see a little more of an uptick of that type of stuff for us.
In our cases,
You know what I really like?
What's that?
Making money.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
The bank likes it when I make money too.
I love cards. I love meeting people, building relationships. You know what's really fun?
Paying my bills.
I'm always so tired when I leave the show. And then when I turn onto the street right before you get to my place and I drive past my bank and I pull into that ATM and I pull out a wad of cash and start dropping those into the deposit, I'm like, yeah, this is the fun part. So keep that in mind. There was a little bit of a noticeable difference. Football is definitely outpacing. Although I would say this, baseball has had a little bit of a rebound from the last couple years for me.
Yeah, baseball does just fine, but far and away, football is what people are looking for more than anything else, at least in that super liquid, ultra modern stuff. Speaking of repacks,
Before you do that,
yeah.
quick rundown of a few shows coming up.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
You guys ask every week for it, so we try to keep you in the loop. What is today's date that we're recording this?
Today is the 19th.
Okay, so 23rd is Saturday, right? So this weekend, Saturday, we are in Mansfield, and Sunday, we are in Lancaster. The following week, Gary will be at the JJ's show in Westchester. The week after that, a new one for us. Amedios, is that how you say it?
Second time for me, but the first time for us.
First time for us.
Yep.
Amedios in Cuyahoga Falls, early September. Then we have Xenia, Eastgate, and Card Fest at the end of the month. So it's a lot of opportunities. Those of you wanting to catch up with us at a show, maybe get a table at one of these. We'd love to work next to you.
Absolutely.
But those are the ones coming up. Sorry. Repacks, you were saying.
That's okay. Yeah, no, 'cause to follow up on what you were just saying a minute before that, we've talked about this a couple of times, one time in depth. Cards HQ, Jeff Wilson's crew there, came out with their own repack called Graded Grails, and they worked with PSA on it for PSA to certify the repack. Basically, every card is a PSA graded card, and PSA actually did the packing, putting them in boxes. But they were cards that were provided by Cards HQ, paid for by Cards HQ. Cards HQ paid a fee to PSA to do this, and here we go. They advertised that the floors were 40%, either 40 or 45%. And they got a lot of feedback that wasn't quality because
people opened the product.
Yeah, and the floors were not 40 to 45%. Jeff, to his credit, and
yes.
you won't hear us say a lot of to his
I
credit
respect
things
this
about
at
Jeff
time,
Wilson.
yeah.
He came out and he did a video, mea culpa. Hey, we screwed up a little bit here. There were cards that either should not have gotten in. There were some cards that got put in that were mistakes. Or that, how did he phrase it? That
they were just the wrong card.
The values changed.
It sounds like maybe they thought they purchased a certain card, but what was put in the product was a different one, or
values changed. And one thing about this hobby that we all know is it does have a lot of volatility. A card can be $100 one day, and a week later, a sale goes off at $60, and then somebody sees that, and they're like, "Oh, I can't." Now it's $55,
right?
And it's why it's so important that if you are doing a repack product, listen, guys, you can avoid so much of this headache by doing two things. One, don't be a douche. Be ethical, right? It's very simple. Tell people the truth. Tell people the truth about your floors and ceilings. Don't glaze anything. Don't fluff things up to be what they aren't.
I saw a repacker. I'm going to give him a shout out on TikTok.
That's fine.
Now, listen, we don't drop a lot of names, especially when there's drama and all this stuff going on. But Breaks with Kyle is an account on TikTok. If you're on TikTok and you're repacking, I'm watching you. We're not like investigating. We're just scrolling through on the profile, but he pulls out card ladder after each card's open, and he's like, it looks like, all right, there's 2 or 3, so on the low end this, on the high end. Now, that is like super transparent. Like the dealer and me was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
But that's not necessary to go that far. But what's the level of transparency? Now, that's one that I would feel a ton of confidence to hey,
if
I'm going to know exactly.
Yeah.
If I was into repacks, that's one I'd probably jump in on.
Now, with Jeff giving that mea culpa, this is the other thing that if you're getting into breaks and you're throwing fits about floors and ceilings, it's why it's so important as a repacker. If you're listening to this, for the love of God, buy a Nelco P21 printer. They're $19.
Nelco, pay us.
They're $19.
Pay us.
Print a little sticker. Put it inside the package before it's sealed that has the date that this was repacked.
I mean, it could be a handwritten note at this point.
Yeah, as long as it's sealed inside.
Here's what we were thinking when we put this in the box.
Yeah, this comped at $300 as of this date. If you do that, then nobody can say that you were lying about something. Yeah, there might have been 10 comps since you repacked it that changed it, but as of the date that you packed it, which is all you have control over, this was how much it was comping for.
And I'll go back and give props to Juicebox Repacks.
Yeah,
we did a
absolutely.
review on it, And again, we knew the repack space was blowing up. We had no idea how much would be like following that review, but they have it right on the box where it was. And a perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Perfect example of this. Jordan Travis RPA was in this box,
Yes.
right? And it was comped like a day or two after he announced the retirement.
Yeah.
And it was not, that could have been for that product towards the ceiling a little bit.
Yep.
And instead they had it in as like a floor, just above floor card.
Yeah.
Because they tell you how many of each tier you should be getting. We
Yes.
did the math on it, but they dated it and they were honest about it.
Yes. So that if you're a repacker, you can handle a lot of your issues with those two things. Don't be a douche. Date your repack.
I would say the same thing. Give props to Jeff for just saying, hey, here's what happened. Some people weren't there with it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of that was opened on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah,
and
it was a bad
like
look.
Pac-Man opened it. There was a couple of those and in some ways you're like, there's no way of guarantee. So repackers are screwed either way. If an influencer opens a box and there's a massive hit in it, everybody's like, yeah, right. If a repacker opens a box and it's a bad floor, oh, okay, here's what's really in there. So, like, the cynics, no matter what, are going to have a heyday with repacks. You're never going to convince them otherwise. But for him to acknowledge there was some of this. Now, I really hate that we advertised a floor percentage that didn't seem to be super accurate. Right. And maybe it was on the whole, but it's not a great look. The other thing that Jeff mentioned in that same video, which I just thought the timing of it was kind of weird considering that, was, again, kind of doubling down. We've noticed this, like pushing more and more and more into the non-sport market. And I'm wondering if we're going to see Jeff's brand spending a lot more time and energy there because that's where money is. Like, that's where a lot of the new money is. Do we see whatever the sports card investor version is? Maybe he even has it. I have no idea out there. He's putting out a lot of content.
Pokey investor?
Yeah. But more and more in that direction. And I'm wondering, do we see a lot of people that kind of rode the sports card wave that have had some ups and downs in public opinion, for lack of a better way of putting it, find a new home where a lot of their attention is just kind of landing with the non-sports stuff?
There's a segment of people in every hobby who jump hobbies as attention flows. I think the way you phrased it when we were talking about this pre-episode as we were planning is really the case. There are some people, and I think Jeff falls into this category. This is my opinion, okay? Just take it for what it's worth. He's going to go wherever the money is because he's in this to make content to make money. I don't think he cares about sports cards any more than he cares about Pokemon, any more than he cares about sneakers, any more than he cares about his marketing firm. He's chasing revenue, and if the majority of revenue for him starts coming from Pokemon, then I'm going to guess he'll start creating Pokemon content more than sports card content.
I think I would agree with most of what you said. I would disagree that he doesn't care about sports cards. The type of stuff he's purchased, now, obviously, it's great for content, this and that, but it is, I would say that it's a fairly curated collection. There's certain types of stuff that he's adding.
Let me phrase this. He may personally care about sports cards.
I think that matters to clarify.
Yeah, he may personally care about sports cards, but from a business standpoint and the content that he creates, he's going to create the content that drives revenue.
Right. And, you know, of all the guys creating content, like all of us bottom feeders in the basement doing a podcast right now, right? When you see the type of numbers, so like, first off, I'll just say this. When you talk about content space, like, I don't know that people realize the kind of numbers you really need to have a sizable income from content.
Yeah.
Jeff might be right now one of the only guys doing that. But the production value he has is actually incredible. So whether you guys realize this or not, like the quality of production, the studio, the environment, the editing, like there's so many people, so many man hours, so much money going into this. But
he's still not making a profit on the content.
Is that true?
20,000 views.
He's got. I don't think you've checked him
per
lately.
video.
I don't think you've checked him lately.
What are they looking like?
I mean, you're seeing six figures on a lot of the new stuff.
Well, even then, at 1,000 views in YouTube, assuming you're getting
it doesn't work. Like
3 ads.
It's not cut and dry. They're going to look
Okay.
at niche. They're going to so like a space like Sports Card Investor. If YouTube will allow that to be niched down and considered like a finance segment, the ad revenue on that content may be 3 or 4x what it is on some of his other Jeff Wilson content. It just so there's a calculation there. All I'm telling you is he is very successful at creating content that gets traction, views, and engagement. And whether or not you and I like what he says, all we're doing is making him more money by talking about him.
I guess that's fine.
No, that's just the principle behind it. Now, what I don't want this to be, it's like become low-hanging fruit for people to just like take jabs at Jeff, because whoever's visualized as the person on top of the pyramid for content or whatever is always going to have critics and all that. Back to the point at hand. I respect that he's saying, hey, here's what we saw. Would love to see what that means in the future. Obviously, at the point where you're releasing a statement, my guess is that the launch of this has not been what they were hoping for. And that had to be a sizable investment too, right?
For sure. So they released it as a wholesale product. Like their plan was to compete with like Hit Parade.
Right.
With
So
this.
exactly. So if I'm Jeff, you're in this like posture of humility. You've communicated it to the buyers. I think you still have a chance to say, so here's what we're going to do. Starting on this round, we're going to date all of our boxes, and we're going to do a buyback guarantee where if we fall short of that 45% promise, we will give you a refund for that 5 or 10%, blah, blah, blah. Now, if they want to average it out, if they want to have a clause about one outlier not being the case, there's ways around that. But I do think there's things you could do in this moment. PSA is still attached to this. I think they want there to be credibility with it as well. Yep. I think you got an opportunity here to say, all right, you know what? That was round one. Here's what we're going to do to make this better. And then people will vote with their dollars.
Yeah.
But I think the hobby needs more humility like this, because you and I have made a million mistakes with our business. I think what we try to do now is not make mistakes that people listening will follow
and emulate. And if we do, we try to own it. And
we make fun of each other for it.
Well, we make fun of each other, period. But for that,
but like Davis Mills is a great example.
Yeah.
And like to this day, I'm holding him accountable. You're not going to get off the hook for that one, you know? Me believing Tua was a top 5 quarterback.
Crazy
That
work.
was deep within my belief system.
Crazy work.
Even after some injuries, I was like, he's there. You and I at the National last year had a heated hour and a half like yelling match from an Airbnb.
I can literally name 15 quarterbacks.
Well, it was, is he a top 15? And in my mind, I was like, I can't disbelieve that. And we spent multiple days on this. But I do respect Jeff for at least acknowledging, hey, here's what we saw, here's what happened. It does make sense what he's saying. Now, the packaging and all that's on you. Like, if you put the wrong cards in there or they're not that value. But dating it would be a thing that across the board. And here's what I don't understand. Like, who is going to put some type of thing together that makes it like the first person to figure out some type of repack network where anybody in this network agrees, here's things that we're going to do to provide full transparency, and you get that little stamp of approval, like whatever that would look like, I think it's time.
Yeah.
It's time for that to happen. And it's going to separate grifters from that. Boxes will be sealed. Boxes will be dated. Some type of money back or buyback guarantee is offered and spelled out for the customer. Floors and ceilings are accurate. Checklists, whether it's here's the hit and that's it, or here's how many of each tier you're going to get in the product. But what are we waiting on? Standardize this stuff. And if you're saying, well, there's a reason they aren't.
If there's a reason they aren't, that's guys that I would probably avoid. But that's a very good point. A couple of housekeeping things before we get to the thrust of the episode. We were worried we were going to have a shorter episode. We're 45 minutes in.
I don't think Football Flip's going to take that long. I really don't.
Couple of housekeeping things. First and foremost, if you've made it this far in the video and you have not yet hit that like or subscribe button, do that for us. Helps us out a ton. If you really like the content, hit the little bell button. Get the notifications when we drop new content. Over the next few months, you're going to see some new shorter form content coming from us. We don't want to get into too much detail yet because we're still hammering it out, but keep your eyes open. Also, every Thursday night, we go live on Whatnot. We sell cool cards. We don't scream at you. We don't talk about comps. We start everything at $1. You tell us what it sells for. We've always started at 7 o'clock, starting next week. Okay, so from the time you see this, the following Thursday should be like the 21st? No, the 29th, 28th? Whatever.
28th.
28th. When starting then, we are going to start an hour earlier. We're going to start at 6 o'clock.
Show keeps growing.
Show keeps growing. We want to run more cards. We want to spend more time with you guys outside of this where it's more interactive. People who come into our streams tend to stay for 3 or 4 hours because we just have fun. We interact with you
That's one
guys.
of our favorites. Somebody buys 2 cards, and one of them's in the first 10, and then the other one's like auction 340.
Yeah.
That makes my whole day.
Yeah, it's like you just hung out with us
yeah.
the whole time. We like to make it feel like you're here in the podcast with us, just interacting. So go bookmark those shows. Follow us on Whatnot at The Ball Card Show, all one word, just like it is here. And we hope to see you there soon.
All right, Football Flip 2025. We advertised it last week. Let me give you a rundown of what's happening here. Essentially, every year, Gary and I build out a list of players that we think are going to pop off in the season. We take a look at their current card market, and we track their growth, the growth of their market over the season. We're going to do it as a competition this year. Let me break down the rules for you, and then we're going to dive into our picks. So first off, the goal of this contest is for you to have the highest percentage of gain across your roster by week 14 of the NFL season. We don't want to run too deep in the season where people are getting benched or saving it for the playoffs or whatever. Also, it would suck if like half of our guys got injured and now that they play 50 billion games a season, that could be a challenge. So here's some rules of the game. You're going to pick a quarterback, 3 wide receivers, a running back, and a tight end.
Yep.
You're going to buy a rookie card of theirs. If it is not an RPA, it has to be slabbed in a PSA 10.
Yep.
Okay? RPAs were the exception just because it's really hard to get 10s on that. And
the 10s are so outsized to the market.
Yeah,
that it
the
doesn't make
odds
sense.
of you having enough data to track later. So you get to pick those. You have a fictitious, $1,500 budget to pick out your roster, and they all need to be rookie cards. Week 14, we'll hit a stop. We'll see where their market is trending on those cards. We're going to look at averages of a couple comps. If it's only got one comp and it seems reasonable based off of their performance, we'll accept that. If it's a goofy outlier where somebody underperformed and there appears to be a shill bid 700% that Gary did, that's not going to count, all right? We're going to measure percentage of growth. Injuries. If someone is injured and the prognosis is more than 4 weeks, they will be out. So if it's a 2-week injury, you're stuck.
Yep.
You're stuck there. If it's 4 or more weeks, you have a chance to go replace that player with a new one, but you have to use the budget of that player's card.
And you have to be at the current market, not the preseason market.
Yes, you're recomping it, so they may cost you more.
That player's card, or stay within your $1,500 overall budget.
I didn't agree to that.
Okay, that's what I was
didn't
asking.
agree to
That was, so I wanted to clarify.
Whatever the amount is on that player's card. So if it was your quarterback and you went cheap on a quarterback at $200, you have $200 to replace it with another quarterback.
Okay, got it.
Once you've selected that player, you have to ride that out through the end of the season. So it's not 4 weeks and then I'm switching back to my first pick.
No, once
You're
you make
stuck,
the pull. And you also have the option. If it's a 4-week injury and you don't like your options,
Yep.
you can go, hey, I'm not going to take the injury reserve. I'll just wait until they come back.
All right. Just so you know, Gary and I have argued twice about this. It did get heated. I said personal things that had nothing to do with the contest. And he expects that. Anytime if you've golfed with us, Gary and I could be having our worst 2 days of golf. But I guarantee you we're going to fight over who's scoring a 105 versus a 103.
100%.
And we're going to try to mess with each other's swing. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is. We're like siblings on a road trip in the back of a hatchback.
I'm super competitive, which annoys Jason, even though he's competitive too.
I'm super competitive too. I'm just ethical about it. All right, let's get into it. Also, let's cut the chase on what's at stake here. So, at the end of the 14 weeks, there'll be a winner and loser based off of the percentage of gain across the roster, right? Whoever loses has to buy the winner's card, one of the ones from the roster that had the highest percentage of gain. So if a quarterback's card was $250 and it grew to a $500 market by week 14 and Gary won, I have to go buy that card at $500 because I wasn't smart enough to buy him when it made sense.
Unless you can get a deal on it.
Unless you can get a deal, but...
That's the card you got to buy.
That's the card you got to buy, right? Their market is climbing. Yeah. If you can find a deal, then that's great. Good on you. I didn't think about that.
Yep.
That's a good point. We don't have to unnecessarily overpay, but it's going to hurt enough. Also, there will be a giveaway that is definitely worth your time, a way that you'll be able to participate in our 2025 football picks. So without further ado, You ready to jump into weeds?
Let's do it.
I'm going to let you kick us off with quarterback, and then I'll follow you up.
Yeah, we're just going to go position by position, right?
Yep.
All right, so my quarterback was pretty straightforward. It was between this guy and Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones hadn't been named the starter yet. He's been named the starter by now. Otherwise, I would have picked him. So my quarterback, Justin Fields, I went with his 2021 National Treasures booklet RPA of 99. The average comp on that card as of yesterday was $184.
Did you have 5 or more, or was it just a couple?
I did.
Okay.
I did. No, there were 4 within the last 6 weeks and 5 within the last 2 months.
I think that is a smart player because you're getting them on the low side. The only thing that makes me nervous about your pick there is just some of what I've seen in the preseason practice, the rumors of like just being out of sync, out of rhythm. Is that stuff that can get figured out? Sure. But it was enough for me to avoid a wide receiver that I was considering picking up. So
Yep.
My quarterback choice, no surprise to you, we've been saying it all year. C.J. Stroud, in my opinion, is still drastically undervalued. He got to the playoffs last year. The team was broken, injury-plagued. It didn't have much to work with, and he still performed well. His market right now on a PSA 10 silver rookie is about $400 off of the last 5
Half
comps.
of Justin Herbert.
Half of Justin Herbert's market. You just stole my thunder. That was my sauce for that one.
Sorry.
That's all right. The people need to know. It's half of Herbert's market. I can't justify that in my mind. I do think that a playoff run, a decent season, he airs the ball out a little bit like we saw 2 seasons ago. I think that card could double. I don't think it's unrealistic. So for my pick, C.J. Stroud on the silver PSA 10 Prism rookie.
Who's your running back?
Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
Now, this is an unconventional pick for me for this type of stuff because there's one thing I don't like investing in, and it's players that have been hyped up a ton for a long period of time.
Yep.
And Bijan was definitely somebody right out of the gates. Everybody went nuts. And in my opinion, they were overpaying for Bijan Robinson stuff. The hobby gave him a lot of love. He's very likable that way. But it does seem like they're figuring some things out, getting into a little bit of a rhythm. I do think he's going to get a lot of touches. I went with his select XRC Silver PSA 10. Okay?
2022 product.
2022 product. Now, the reason I did that is it is a more desirable short printed card, but it's one that you're going to see transactions on through the year. So I don't run the risk of it not selling several times through the season. And it's one that the XRC Silver 10s have a tendency to really bump up.
I was blown away by how cheap this was.
Yeah, it was a cheap one, and I found a deep track $133 average on that card.
So I went with a running back from the same draft class, Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, this is the most expensive card in my whole lineup. I went with a short print, a non-numbered short print, but I went with the 2023 club level Zebra PSA 10. It's a $408 card. My reasoning was very simple. Detroit fans are rabid and they buy cards. And he's in a situation where with David Montgomery there as well, he's not going to get all the tread taken off of his tires. And so the injury risk is lower in my opinion. And zebras are super popular cards.
Yeah.
So that was my reasoning there. It's a card that unless there's some type of catastrophic injury, I don't think loses value for me. And whatever my biggest card was, I wanted it to be something that I wasn't losing percentage on.
About how many comps does that have? It can't be a ton because it's a certain level of a zebra.
7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
as
one
low as 355 and as high as 465.
Now, I'm going to get into a Lions card here in a little bit, but one thing that's for sure is the Lions PC market, they don't mind holding their cards a little bit more.
No, not
that's
at all.
for sure. All right, and then what was your price? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
408.
408. Okay. Let's get into wide receivers. The first wide receiver I picked, this is like, in my opinion, when I talk about buying lots, there are certain cards I'm getting like without a ton of upside, but I know that they'll move quickly, and then I'm able to give the seller a higher percentage of yield so I can get it in other places. This is probably that play with a Jamar Chase Prism Silver rookie out of 2021. The comps averaged out at 195 in a PSA 10 off the last 5 sales. As of today, there is so much anticipation for what Joe Burrow can do this year there seems to be a little bit of a pressure of like people arguing like a make or break season. It's a little silly to say that.
Stupid.
However, in the hobby, it does kind of work that way. Whether it's right or wrong, people have a tendency to say, what have you done for me lately? So Burrow is somebody that I have only seen respond well to pressure. I've never seen him cave. Jamar Chase is seasoned at this point. I think Chase Brown is going to do some good things for them that is going to enable them to air that out a little bit. And so I went with Jamar Chase on that at 195 wide receiver.
And I didn't go with him for all those reasons. Yeah. I thought about it, but I was like, I just don't know what the growth. But you did the same thing with him that I did with Jahmyr Gibbs. Like,
yes,
he's your it's not probably going to go down much, if at all. I, for my first wide receiver, went with CD Lamb, 2020 Prism Silver. $209 is the average of the last 5 comps on that card. Very simple for me. I don't love Dak Prescott, but here's the reality. Like him, hate him, whatever. This is a regular season competition.
Yep.
And when Dak Prescott's healthy, he's a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the league.
It's not a playoff competition.
This isn't a playoff competition. And more importantly, the Cowboys went and traded for a legitimate number 2 receiver that can be a number 1 in a lot of places. There's a little bit of the Jamar T. Higgins thing happening now with George Pickens down there in Dallas. The running game scares me, but that's okay because it means they're going to have to air the ball out a lot more. And CD's a guy who already has a near 1,900-yard season under his belt. And if the Cowboys perform well, they make the playoffs, all the rising tide lifts all ships.
What I do like is you got a fan base there where if it even starts to uptick his market, like you've never seen media cheer for a team like the Cowboys. They're obsessed. So if they become above average, I'm being a little harsh there, but I can see that being a good pick. I like it. Up next, my wide receiver, Odunze. Prism Silver Auto PSA 10 is what I picked.
Rome Odunze.
Now, this one makes me a little nervous of all of them.
Yeah, but I think it's not a crazy expensive card on the front end,
It's not crazy expensive.
Yeah.
I'm in $200 on a Silver 10 Auto, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I put the wrong year on that.
2024.
24, I have 21 on there. But $209 is what I'm in on this card. It really does seem like Caleb Williams is catching a rhythm. It seems like his main focus going into the season is football. And they've kind of started building a really there's a well-built team in Chicago right now. Pieces have been put together.
Yeah, Ben Johnson knows what he's doing.
Yes. And the more you look through that roster, the moves they've made, the type of things they're doing, I think the Bears have a decent year this year.
I think they surprised was the second best receiver in the draft last year.
So I've got that one with it being an auto. Now, if that one falls off, I think it falls off to $100. I don't think it falls off way below that.
That's
it would have
50%.
I know. But when we're talking total off of 1,500, I think the potential for growth on that with it being the auto is pretty significant.
My next receiver was Malik Neighbors, PSA 10 Silver Prism. No auto, just a Silver Prism PSA 10. It's a $190 card. The thought process was extremely simple. Dude was a dog as a rookie with basically me throwing to him half the time. Now he's got Russell Wilson, who Russell Wilson ain't setting anybody's world on fire. But he's way better than what they had.
And he's going to throw the ball.
And if Russell Wilson doesn't perform, they'll bring in Jameis, who will throw a bunch of picks, but he'll also push the ball downfield like crazy.
Yeah, picks won't hurt Malik at all.
No, not at all. I think he's just going to get fed the ball constantly. And I think the Giants legit have a chance to be a 9-10 win team, which would be a huge improvement. Dayball's coaching for his job. That's why they went and said, we're not playing this rookie right now, period. We're going to roll with these vets and try to keep our jobs. Neighbors is going to get fed.
Okay. I like it. My next one was a decision that's probably not an intelligent one, but statistically it makes a lot of sense. And for my last wide receiver, I'm going with DK Metcalf.
Okay.
I feel like it's really clear that the Steelers organization is making a push that they're like they want to do something right now. The way that they've gone after Rodgers, like everything was in a slow cooker in Pittsburgh for so long, and this year feels a little bit more like let's grab some pieces and see what we can make happen. Now the caveat here is it really is going to completely come down to this: does Aaron Rodgers like DK? Whether it should be like that. Whether anything should be like that, what we've seen is if Rodgers likes a receiver and he can count on them, he will give them the ball 90 times in a game.
Yep.
And I'm running a little bit of a gamble that the egos won't be too big there, and man, that's a risk. But DK is such an athletic freak, and I think Rodgers is going to be looking around like, who all do I have to work with? I got a little bit, but DK's my guy.
Yeah.
For this one, I went with this is the most obscure card that I picked. I went with this Optic Contenders rookie ticket teal to 149 autograph.
That is obscure.
I know, that's
it's
a
okay,
mouthful.
though.
It doesn't really fit in an eBay listing, but it's in a PSA 10. There were several sales of it, so my thought was if I go with something like an Opters Contender Auto that's numbered, I'm going to try to find something that's numbered, but there's several sales that'll probably cycle through. The teal almost looks like a color match with the Seahawks stuff, so I think that's part of the reason for it. But that averaged out at 241. So it's a little bit of a reach on that card. We definitely don't know what's happening in that organization. It's a little risky there. But if Rodgers and DK can actually hook up and have some chemistry on the field like that, I think that card could see some big growth.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with anything
Did I say
you said
241?
There. You did.
You don't disagree with anything I said there?
About that? No, I don't. I think you hit every
It doesn't happen very often.
relevant point.
Thank you.
My last wide receiver before we get to our tight ends is a guy that Jason was surprised that I picked, but he shouldn't have been if he's paid attention. 2020 Prism Blue Wave to 199 Justin Jefferson PSA 10. It's $330. Justin Jefferson's market is down 45 to 50% from what it was 18 months ago. Justin Jefferson is still the receiver he was 18 months ago. He missed a few games last year, still had a huge season. They're going to feed him the ball. J.J. McCarthy has to throw it to somebody. And Justin Jefferson is one of the few receivers in the league who is quarterback independent. He's going to be open. He's going to be open. Neighbors was the same way last year. He's going to be open. And J.J. McCarthy, as much as I'm not a huge believer, is way better than any of the quarterbacks the Giants had last year. I think we can all agree there. So that was my last wide receiver pick.
So I agree with everything on your take there. I just was that nervous. Now, and it is weird to me how some players, just an injury that they've recovered from, how their market doesn't rebound. Like Justin Jefferson's a great example. I don't understand.
He had a bad hammy for a month.
Now, was he also running a little hotter than he should have been last season on his market? Maybe, but when you're jumping 9 feet in the air and one hand catching the ball, getting drilled and coming down with the catch, that's going to happen. The J.J. McCarthy piece is the piece that's the big X factor for me. Now, if he's functional, like we talked about last week, if he's just a functional average quarterback, I think, it's going to be a good win for you.
Yeah.
If he struggles and they're really out of sync and out of rhythm, and they got to depend a little more on the run game. There's some things that can happen.
If he struggles that bad, they'll put Nick Mullins in, and Nick Mullins is not great, but again, he's been in the league for 7 years.
He likes throwing to Jay.
And he'll throw it to the open guy. So,
okay, last pick for me, tight end. I'm going with Sam Laporta. A couple reasons for this. One, the hobby loves this guy. Hobby loves this guy. They buy stuff up, and his low-end stuff outperforms where it should all the time. So that was the first thing for me. The second one is, do I think he can just replicate what they've seen in the past? And in Detroit...
Well, and last year was a little bit of a down year for him. He was hurt.
Yeah, I think he's going to do okay. I think he's going to have a good year. The card I went with is a little different. I went with the Prism Blue Ice rookie to 99 in a PSA 10. That averages out at 275 on a tight end, which for me on the $1,500 budget felt a little bit strong.
Color match.
But it's a color match. Now, this is a card I'm not sure we'll see 5 comps on week 14, just because that Detroit market seems to be a little more PC base heavy. I could be wrong. It's numbered to 99. If the market's hot, people want to cash out and get their money. I understand that. This may be when we have a couple to track, but I'm not sure we'll have 5 sales.
Right.
But I like Laporta. I love the card, and I like it in a PSA 10. So that's my final pick. My total came up to $1,453.
Tight end was the hardest position for me. I don't know what it was for you, but it was the hardest position for me because the guys that I wanted to grab didn't fit in the budget. Like, my first thought was George Kittle. George Kittle only has like 4 rookie cards, and they're all $500 to $1,200 in a PSA 10. So George Kittle was off the table. Travis Kelce, I don't trust his market because unless Taylor Swift fans start buying his stuff, NFL fans, no matter how great he is, have decided that the Taylor Swift thing annoys them.
I like buying Jason Kelce a little more.
Yeah, it's like they just have decided that it annoys them. So I looked at Laporta, but he didn't fit in my budget with some of the other things that I was doing. So I settled in a weird spot. I also looked at Trey McBride, but it's Arizona. And I went with Dalton Kincaid for the Bills. Josh Allen loves him. The Bills have shown that the tight end is a big part of what they do. Yeah. In the play that they ended up getting knocked out of the playoffs on last year, the guy that Josh Allen looked for was Dalton Kincaid. So his same thing as you, blue ice to 99, PSA 10.
It is funny we both did that on tight ends.
$125. That's the one to me that was like, this is the lowest risk,
high reward possibility,
potentially high reward.
Yeah.
My total budget came in at $1,446, so I was slightly more frugal than you.
You spent what, $7 less?
$7 less.
So what we'll do is the remaining balance gets tacked on as a gain. So we're already up like $40.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We'll be giving updates throughout the season, how they're performing, injury updates as well, and we'll be inviting you to be a part of this content piece where there will be a really cool giveaway for you as the season goes on. So be sure to stay tuned with that. Last thing, I offer the low-end liquid. People seem to want to do that are on eBay, so let me get to that really quickly on a longer episode today that I thought would be about 30 minutes. I want to emphasize a couple of sets that came out in the mid-'90s that have recently started popping off for me, and I'm finding you just got to time it up with the right season. So I've got 2 different mid-'90s Mickey Mantle reprint sets here. These are commemorative cards. Most of them sell for $2 to $3 max. That's with free shipping. However, in the last month, people have been building stacks of this stuff. So there's a couple different ones. There are some of these that have like a red back versus orange back. Some of these are called the shoebox collection, where they're just a reprint. And then you have other ones where it's like a variation image with pinstripes around it. Honestly, not the most attractive looking cards. Some of these are downright ugly. But I wanted to point out the fact that if you can find these commemorative sets that as a whole are not that great, but you pair it during baseball season with a Mickey Mantle, with a Jordan, I've mentioned this before, they sell really well. So this set was out in 1997. I believe it was called the Shoebox Collection. There's some others here. Upper Deck has another one as well. And then some of these other ones were from the Mickey Mantle 7 collection. Bought them in a 2-row box that had a bunch of these. If you try to sell the set, it might take you forever. But individually listing them out for multi-quantity orders, the Shoebox Collection Mickey Mantle is my pick. 1997 on that one.
Solid low-end liquid. And hey, guys, as always, if you have feedback on segments, if there's things you want to see, we've got some new segments that we're planning that we're going to start to be bringing to you over the next month or two. Shoot us that feedback. Leave a comment. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. We already know we're fat and ugly, so don't tell us that. We don't need to hear that.
Yeah.
But other than that, we'd love to hear from you. A lot of you do comment or send us messages. We look forward to that. Come say hi to us at a show soon. We always enjoy that too.
Yep. This has been the Ball Card Show, the Sports Podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.